Okay, guys. So, I was asked to get to this letter. Actually, this has been on the docket for quite a few days, and I kept forgetting to do it. I've just had so much going on. But yeah. So this letter was filed on April 17th. It's a joint letter as well. Dear Judge Lyman, in accordance with rules 1D and 2K of Your Honour's individual rules, Plaintiff Blake Lively respectfully writes, with the consent of defendants Wayfarer Studios, It Ends With Us Movie and Tag, to request an extension of the April 17th deadline for all parties and third parties to move for continued sealing of documents filed in connection with the parties' respective motions in limine and motions to exclude expert testimony to April 28th. And what that means is, because a lot of people keep saying, oh, isn't this all unsealed? Right? Back in January when we had the Great Unsealing, that was just attachments and exhibits that were filed with the motion for judgment on the pleadings and motions for summary judgment. There is still a protective order in place. So things are being filed under seal, exhibits are being filed under seal with all of these pretrial motions too. And this letter is basically saying, hey, can we have a deadline to extend the time for us to, because they've got to go through the whole thing again. Like they got to file documents now to show why, continued sealing should remain, why continued sealing should remain in effect. And they're asking for an extension to that deadline from April 17th to April 28th. And we're going to get to see all the arguments for why documents should remain kept under seal. And then we're going to get, effectively another great unsealing of these documents too. So we're going to go through that whole process again, like we did with the motion for judgment on pleadings and motion for summary judgment. And then the second part of the request is an extension of parties' corresponding response deadline to May 4th. So obviously, what they're saying is, look, can we have until April the 28th to make our arguments for why documents should remain under seal? And then can we have an extension to the deadline to May the 4th for the opposition? Because obviously, oh my goodness, my voice is really going. Obviously, let's just say for argument's sake, Lively wants to keep something under seal. She then files a motion saying, hey, judge, I want all this stuff to be kept under seal. Wayfarer will do the same thing. And they're saying, look, can we have until April the 28th for that? But then, as we saw before, Wayfarer would then oppose and say all the reasons why it shouldn't be maintained under seal. And, likewise, Lively will do the same with the things that they want to be kept under seal. And they're looking for a deadline of May the 4th to be allowed for that. The parties agree that an extension of the deadlines for motions for continued sealing to April 28th and for a response to May 4th will promote judicial economy by allowing the parties an opportunity to align sealing of such documents with the sealing of documents to be filed in connection with the parties' respective responses to motions in limine on April 17th and motions to exclude expert testimony on April 24th. Additionally, an extension will serve to protect privacy interests of third parties by providing third parties additional time to seek continued sealing of documents. No previous requests for adjournment or extensions have been made with respect to these deadlines. The parties' next scheduled appearance before the court is on April 28th. And the judge did allow that, by the way. He granted that. Because, and it was almost a given that he would. I mean, very rarely does a judge say no, where both parties or all parties have actually filed a joint request and they all agree to the same thing. Okay, and then we have an order that went on the docket last night as well from Judge Lyman. The parties have requested advanced rulings from the court with respect to the admissibility of hundreds of exhibits. So now Lyman's feeling the pinch. that he's got to sift through all of these exhibits and determine whether they're admissible or not. Any party requesting an advance ruling shall provide the court with copies of the exhibits in hard copy and electronic form by 4 p.m. on April the 27th, which is Monday. 4 p.m. Eastern, that'll be. The court requests one set of binders to be delivered to chambers and another set of exhibits to be provided electronically through the court's file transfer system. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, they requested an advanced ruling on the admissibility of a lot of exhibits, and the judge is saying, hey, get me copies of all these exhibits, both in hard copy and electronic copy, which is standard. And he'll get on with that. So that's all that is. But that's caught us up with rulings, so I can continue with the Daubert motions from here on.